I'm Andrew Zimmern. Oh, wow. Behold the mighty shrimp and my tiny little 2.5-inch beak's nose paring knife. Between these two, I'm gonna show you how to clean and devein shrimp, and then I'm gonna cook them 2 ways for you. You ready? Let's go. Today we're gonna make japchae, and I'm gonna do it with these beautiful large shrimp. So first thing that I wanna do is combine my ingredients for different sauces. This is my cooking sauce: soy sauce, some light brown sugar, some black pepper, some rice wine, some sesame oil, and some mirin. Add some chilies. If you break them up, it'll turn the dish spicy. If you leave them whole, it'll keep it just delicately warm. Microplane, a couple cloves of garlic. Perfect. Bowl that my shrimp are gonna go into: sesame oil, sake, and mirin, more garlic. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Okay, so we have these beautiful U15 shrimp, and I just start peeling on one side. And then when I get to this point and I have the very last piece of shell cracked around the top towards the tails, I give a gentle shake here. That's what I'm left with. And look at the beautiful fan of all of that shrimp. All right, that's enough for this dish. Take a sharp knife, I love this beak nose pair, and just run it gently down the entire length of what you would generally think of as the back of the shrimp. That vein is the digestive tract of the shrimp that can turn your food bitter. And sometimes there's even very small pieces of sand or shell, especially if they're wild caught. And you can see here, we have one whose entire length goes all the way up into the top. I just gently pull and take it out of there. It's why I make the cut all the way up to that last joint. It's so easy when I'm cutting something that's curved to use this beak's nose parer. It's also very short. I have so much control because I want to make a shallow cut, just a 1/16 of an inch, just enough to break the skin so I can pull the vein out. But I love a standard parer because a beak nose parer can't do this. I want to bisect my shrimp lengthwise. I'm just going to drop them in our marinade. I have my 2 fingers on the fat part of the shrimp. As I move this paring knife across towards the back half of the shrimp, the tail, I switch my hand to there. So watch, I go through and then I switch my opposing hand so that I get 2 equal parts of shrimp. Break my eggs. For a noodle dish like this, I want streaks of white and yolk. All right, time to process our vegetables. The nigiri does a fantastic job on all vegetables, but I'm also going to use the classic vegetable cleaver. You can cook entire meals using just this knife. First thing that I want to do is I want to cut a little bit of garnish to set aside. And then I'm just going to do 1/2-inch lengths at an angle. I'm going to cook some shiitake mushrooms in this japchae. And I'm just using a classic push cut here for my mushrooms. Red pepper. Just going to cut that into longish strips because these are going to soften and mimic the shape of the noodles. Even with a cleaver, I can execute thin threads of carrots called allumettes. I cut one side off Stack 5 of these planks that I've just cut up. Just very carefully. You're in no rush. Cabbage. You can also see at this point what a colorful dish japchae is. All right, sweet potato noodle. So this is boiling. We'll let that go for a couple minutes. First thing up, our omelet. Carrots next. Went to all the trouble of cutting your vegetables so perfectly. We're gonna saute each of our vegetables separately. We don't wanna cook them together because I really want the integrity of each vegetable to stand out. And I'm just gonna cut this omelet in thin strips. That way it's gonna incorporate into the noodle dish. I'm gonna drain these noodles. Last but not least, our shrimp. That liquid needs to cook off a little bit before we get a sear on a lot of this. You could hear the spatter when they hit. So a couple of pieces that went right in the middle have a really nice little sear on them. In goes my sweet potato noodles. When it gets to look about like that, and I just keep turning it. Last but not least, a teaspoon of sesame seed. Shall we see how we did? Oh, wow. Flavors are balanced. I'm still getting the crunch from little bits of vegetable. That is something your whole family is gonna love. Big shrimp, small Japanese appetizer. Perfect combination. Shrimp tsukune dipped in cured egg yolks that's absolutely gonna curl your toes. Let's get to it. First thing I wanna do is make my tare, which is my liquid seasoning. I put in my soy sauce, my dashi, my sake and mirin, and my brown sugar. So I'm gonna bring this to a simmer and then lower the heat to just see a couple of bubbles. And we're gonna reduce it low and slow until it's nice and syrupy. So let's make the shrimp meatballs. I've cleaned the shrimp the same way that I showed you a couple of minutes ago, but I wanted to show you something alternate. Shun makes so many different kitchen shears. These small ones have a very slender tip, but they're also only about 1.5 inches long. And they're ideal for just putting into one side of the shrimp shell all the way up to the top. Some people like to do it on 2 sides. And then the shrimp shell just comes right off the entire thing in one fell swoop. This is the perfect little scissor for this kind of work. So, large bowl, sesame oil, a little bit of white or blonde miso. These are shiso leaves, also called perilla. So in goes about a 1/2 cup of shiso. Scallions. I'm going to bisect each one very, very carefully. I held on to the tops and didn't split them, just to get a few tablespoons of fresh scallion. And then I'm just gonna mince these as thin as I can, because these are going into our meatballs. My Kazahana utility knife feels beautiful in my hand. I can choke up on it like a paring knife if I want to. And I'm just going to cut all these shrimp in half. Just so much easier to chop. It's just cut across this pile a couple times. I just want to get this chopped up to the point that I can use 2 knives and really begin to annihilate this into a paste. It's gonna have much better texture when we eat it than a conventional food processor. This is still gonna have some little studs of shrimp. So this is another dish where the knife work is kind of crucial. Oh, perfect. Okay, put that all in there. Best tool in the world, your hands. Wet hands. Roll a ball, and then just turn them to a little oval. These are gonna be so flavorful. Our tare is coming along. So a clean, well-oiled grill. We're gonna make sure that the skewers go right down the middle of this. And if you notice, I've kept my wood away from the open fire. So this is gonna take 7 minutes, 3.5 minutes on each side. I've brushed them a couple times on the grill with the tare, and then I just drizzle a little on at the end so to get a different tare flavor, because the stuff that was brushed on there actually cooks and caramelizes a little bit. And we're dipping it into egg yolk. I put them into a soy sauce and sugar mixture and let them sit 14 hours. They're really jammy. Just one of my favorite dishes anywhere. And watch what happens when I dunk my tsukune into that cured egg yolk. See how it breaks, but it's jammy on the outside? Salty, sweet and spicy. And that shiso is the best part of the whole thing, I'm telling you. I want you to make this so badly, just so I can see all of your reactions on social when you tell me that your family just gobbled these up. Remember, all of our recipes and our sub-recipes are at andrewzimmern.com.